today, and I got pulled away.
All right, we are live, Nikki. Just a moment. I'm going to share it on my page and all that.
Okay.
Yeah. Just me and Nikki tonight, everybody. Just so you know, Rhino had some obligations he couldn't get out of.
I don't think. Hold on one second, Nikki. The balls for the 50 and over. Do we use senior balls or?
We do not. We use no Trump, no rock, no hardcore, no stadium.
Yeah, just no rock, no Trump, no rock, no hardcore stadium. Yes. Yeah.
So what's the ball rules? It's probably good something to talk about.
They're talking senior.
Oh, senior.
Yeah, we follow MAB's league rules because we have so many of them that play.
Yes,
so people that come from out of town, they're like, what kind of rules are these? And we're like, there are senior league rules around here.
Okay. All right, now we're ready. All right. Okay. Podcast brought to you by Ian Huss, local mortgage guy. We talk about it every week. If you have any mortgage needs, reach out to Ian. I'll make sure to take care of you. So, like I said, no Rhino this week. It's just me and Nikki. Yeah. So we will do our best to keep you guys entertained.
We will.
So we got the John King is coming up, but before we go and talk about that, I want to talk about you a little bit because that's kind of our new thing that we're doing. So you're obviously a huge part of the softball community, but how'd you get started? How'd you get involved, and how'd you get here?
So back when I was young and when I was a kid, I had some kind of weird bone disease type thing that didn't allow me to play sports, didn't take PE. I broke a bone, at least one bone a year from 9 to 19, wore casts constantly. So to get my PE credit, I did all of the technical side of PE. I kept score, I learned the rules. All my tests were on that kind of stuff. So it made sense to go ahead and go into sports management type stuff. I've always loved it. I've always loved the stuff, just never been able to do it. You never know with my kids, they get all of that from their father, I promise. I thought I was going to be a good athlete, but every break I wasn't. So, so I lived in Texas, in Saginaw, Texas, weirdly enough, not Michigan, Texas. And our sports are different there. So I worked for the city of Saginaw, running all of their sports. So softball, volleyball, things like that. We also had like a kids program on Friday and a parents' day out, like anything that ran through the community center is kind of what I did. When Waz and I moved here in 2005, there was nothing like that here. The YMCA, that was the only thing that I knew of. There's not really public venues like that.
And then what year did you get here? If you don't mind.
2005.
2005. Okay.
Yep. And so I ended up substitute teaching at the school, fell in love with the MOMH kids, which are special needs children, stayed in that classroom for a few years. While my kids were playing at River Shore, I helped out there as an assistant manager for the Knolls, probably about 4.5 years. Mark Ayer approached me and asked me to run both River City East and West for him. So here I am.
But there was a little bit more than that, right? Because there was a gap where it was shut down, and then he purchased it, and then
I was at River Shore at that time.
You were River Shore at that time, okay?
Yeah. So Apple was running the parks when I took over.
Okay, so they'd already
been Rick Hyde was at West, I believe, on site with Jackie something. You remember Jackie's last name? I don't know. Rick and Jackie, and Apple ran East, but he was the general manager of both.
And so yeah, let's discuss that. So what's your role? Might be a little confusing to some people. So you're the general manager, right?
Of both complexes, correct?
Both complexes, but each complex has their own manager. Can you talk about your relationship and how that works, structurally?
So taking as I took responsibility, Mark and I we went back and forth over how things would be structured. Apple was the general manager / manager of both parks and worked that way and received a certain salary. luckily I'm super blessed, and makes a very good wage. And so my salary, I wanted to divide amongst the park managers, and I wanted to have managers and assistant managers. I didn't want to spread myself too thin. I wanted it to operate differently. So we came up with a different pay structure, and we hired managers for both parks. So Jeff Merrill, who's been with me since the beginning, 10 years. Doug Markham, who's been here a couple of times. We've had 7 managers over at East in the 10 years that I've been here. But Doug Markham was here once before, fell upon some illness, and he's back again.
Yeah, glad to have Doug back. He's awesome over there.
Me too. I love him.
And you mentioned to me before, it's not the easiest job at East for several reasons.
It is not. Mm-hmm.
Well, we won't get into that. So you've started quite a few tournaments around here, and I'm probably not going to do you justice, but the disabilities is definitely one I know is near and dear to you.
It is.
The Metro, before you took it over, was kind of dying off a little bit, and its numbers have got back up a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then what else am I missing? I know you have quite a few fundraiser tournaments as well. Turkey Bash, is that you?
It is me.
Okay, that's a great one too.
And Food Drive.
Food Drive.
That one's huge. The Paws and Claws, which fills the Cincinnati Animal Cares with all the dog food, cat food.
Yep.
And then, of course, there's those unimportant ones that I'm just kidding. The Prides of Palooza, and the Worlds and the States and the things that USSSA, GSL, WSL bring to the area.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Heroes is Katie's.
It's Katie's.
It is. As a pro, she started that. What year is this? Do you know that? 8, 9, something like that. So all that money goes to Fisher House. The military. Yeah, for the military. I don't think that's been under $6,000 since she started. We've donated at least $6,000 every year.
And this would be a good time to highlight all the charities that you do support with those tournaments.
Sorry.
That's okay. So yeah, I was asking you, what all charities do you support with your tournaments? I know it's quite a few.
So we do, like I said, Cincinnati Animal Cares with the pet tournament, the Fisher House, JD Fugate deals with suicide prevention for people in the military. That's what the Andy, I have to look up there. Andy Fields goes to. For the disability, all the area schools get a portion of that money for their MOMH program. So Ross, Harrison, Batesville, South Dearborn, East Central, Winton Woods. And then we give the largest chunk to UC for their TAP program for a child with disability that still wants to attend college.
Okay.
The food drive is the St. Vincent de Paul. And so all of that money, most of the people donate their Turkey Bash gift cards and winnings back. So we end up giving them anywhere between $3,000 and $5,000. And then we fill 4 pantries besides St. Vincent de Paul for the winter.
It's pretty incredible. And thank you for doing all that.
Oh, of course.
So you announced that we have a new director for One Nation.
We do. Yep. To add to our repertoire here at River City Sports Complex. Yep. Joining Bradney at USSSA and GSL, and Chuck at WSL. Josh Benjamin, my son-in-law, will be the new One Nation state director in this area, Cincinnati director.
Southern Ohio, or wherever they're calling it.
Yep.
So what does that mean for you, and how does that change things for you and your parks and moving forward in the 2025 and all that?
Well, I think that there was a desire. You're one of the people that had approached me about that. There's a desire for teams that want to play One Nation. And unlike most people, I think that we're not here for the money, and we're not here for the letters, and we're not here for those type of things. We're here for the players. And if you want to go to One Nation Worlds, then you should have an opportunity to play games to get to One Nation Worlds. Same thing for UTRIP GSL, same thing for WSL. Now, my leagues are going to stay UTRIP GSL, and I'm just going to be 250% honest with everybody, because I always am. I think it has the best product. I love Nathan. I love WSL people. I like the One Nation people. Of course, I love my son-in-law. But I think that GSL UTRIP has the best product. They have the best rating system, or at least a system to rate them. Let me rephrase that. They're the most organized. As you guys know, I'm really anal about being organized. I like the structure. I like the layout. I like the website. I like what it brings. When I walk into this park and there's a USSSA GSL event, it is very credible. The umpire's in uniform. Things are tucked in. People are doing and saying the right things. Our UIC is keeping control. I think other entities will get there, but I think they're a little bit less organized.
Sure. And then to their credit, U-Trip has a 10-year head start or whatever it might be.
They do.
Mm-hmm. And they got more funding than they probably know what to do with.
Yep.
Unless you ask their bookkeeper, then they're probably broke.
You're exactly right.
But yeah, I like U-Trip GSL myself. I always have. But I've always played quite a bit of WSL. I've always played quite a bit of One Nation, and I appreciate all products. And like Collins and those guys' legacy, One Nation is the best for them. So that's what they play, and I think that's what teams should do: is go where you fit in, and I think you'll help with that. So are you going to be changing City Slam to One Nation or anything like that? Have you thought about that?
I am not.
Okay.
City Slam's not mine. It's Brian Wegman's. So we will wait, and we actually have a meeting tomorrow. Cliff and Todd and Josh and myself and whatever, and we will sit down as a community, a softball community, and decide what will be best. I don't think it's best to change any tournaments. The tournaments are the tournaments. Do I think it's best to add some? Absolutely. Would I like to get the King of the Hill here? Yes, I would. People have been asking me if we can bring it back here. John Radich has contacted me 3 or 4 times himself and been like, I really want to play the King of the Hill here. Yeah, I have no problem with that. It's a great tournament. I had it once before. I'd love to have it back again.
Yep. So your dates are pretty full. Would you have room to add additional tournaments?
We do have some room to add things, and we would have to move a couple of things around. And fortunately and unfortunately, Flash is a great place, and it has a lot of potential for baseball. So my guess will be that we'll flip-flop, and I will take a lot of that softball like the King of the Hill, and he will take my baseball. It's got to be a give and a take. But, we still have to have baseball. You have to have everything to make the parks flourish. But you'll, we'll have to see, right?
We'll see. Yeah, we played at Flash. That was my first time being there. I thought the place was awesome.
It's beautiful.
But it's not great for softball. It wasn't terrible, right? But you have a mound, right? Some of the fences are 390, some are 280, which makes, causes issues. But the park was awesome. I didn't mind playing there.
It's very family oriented, which is great for baseball.
Yeah.
They got the other kids have things to do there. There's like a restaurant. Softball parks are not usually that family friendly.
Yeah, I couldn't be happier with my experience there. I had a great time.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a question that I get about you all the time. I don't know, I'm sure you get it too. Turf. What's going on with the turf?
I've gotten 4 turf bids this year.
Okay.
Now, as we all know, I'm not the final say of anything. We've talked about turf in the past. I think 1 million people have asked me about turf since the day I started. We all know that all these parks are in floodplains. They are. You've watched Mid-America flood. You've seen what we have here at times. Here's the big thing. Is turf conducive financially? You yourself just said to me that, we don't have any open weekends. We're completely full. Clearly my leagues are full. We turn teams away. So as an owner, if Mr. Air is going to look at the big picture, is it going to be something that he wants to invest $200,000 in for what kind of return? So it's just whether or not we can sit down at the end of this year. He did ask for the bids. I'm going to be 100% honest. He asked for me to get 4 bids, and I did get 4 bids. And at the end of this year, we will sit down and talk about those bids and see whether we're going to go forward with them. Your guess is as good as mine. Everybody keeps asking me, what's the chance? What's the chance? I have no idea. It's 50-50. It's not my decision. Am I going to present a good product to him? Yes. But am I also going to give him all of my input as to if it's a good investment for us or not? Yes.
So I'm assuming you're looking into maintenance savings, rain out that you don't have, things like
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
And then maybe I shouldn't ask this. If I've not, tell me. But as you looked at that, does it look like it's financially feasible, or does it make sense? Or
I mean, it depends. Like, are we gonna get $10 a kid at the gate for baseball? Probably. How many other fields around here are? I mean, I can only fit so many, right?
Yep.
So when you and I have talked in the past, my thought was, let's add more fields instead. Let's add 2 more fields across the street and use that 200,000 for that instead of turfing. But then again, you run into, do we cross the road? Is there a concession over there? So it's just a matter of us seriously sitting down and talking about where we want the money to go and if it's going to be conducive. Do I think that there's a potential for it to be profitable for him, more profitable for him? Yes, I do. But that doesn't mean it's going to be more profitable enough. Does that make sense?
Yep. You got to look at return on investment and all those kind of
absolutely
fun economic stuff that we don't want to bore these guys with.
Right.
Well, I got you on. Metro's coming up too before we get into John King's.
Yep.
Any updates on that? You want to talk about anything there?
We've added a couple of things that I'm kind of excited about. We did our first Metro draft. We did a live draft here. It was kind of quick, so we didn't get it advertised as long as I'd like to, and people didn't really know about it. But we did get 6 full teams, and we would probably have gotten more had we had more time. So I see that growing. That's on the Industrial Church and what's the other one? 50 and over day. So it's on that day. So it fills up that day a little bit better, kind of eases us into the Metro, and everybody who wants to get some swings in for the actual Metro, it's a week before, and it might be some good things. I like those teams. I'm sure everybody's going to say Nikki set it up. I don't know if anybody looked at the draws, but Jeff Merrill is one of the coaches, and he got the number 1 draw, and they drew women first, and he took my daughter Helena, and then he got number 2 draw, and Jeremy Brewer passed Josh up, and he also got Josh. So yeah, rigged. Exactly. It's a good thing it was live, right? It's funny. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the family first game. Every year we try to do something. We did fire versus police. We did umpires versus coaches. This year we're going to do families versus families. So we have 4 teams comprised of family members, whether it be brothers, whether it be father-son, father-daughter, mother-son, whatever. It's full. I think they each have like 20 players. I'm getting ready to post that as well. And that will be played on Tuesday night, the 23rd.
Okay. And then I've looked into the drafts a little bit. I know how you can do it live online where you can follow along and things like that. So if you're ever interested in that kind of thing,
I absolutely am interested. I'd love for you to do that with me next year.
Yep. I'm happy to help out any way I can.
Mm-hmm.
So Brian Gay was asking here, if you get turf, could you get the Cincy Major back?
I can request to have the Cincy Major back. I don't know if I will get it.
Right. Sure.
That definitely is one of the things on my list. They only play on turf now. I think there was one tournament that's on, I think it might even be the Smokies, that's on dirt right now. So in the conference. So yes, that's a possibility. That is definitely a possibility. Is that big enough to constitute the turf itself? No, but it's definitely a plus.
And then again, maybe I shouldn't ask this, but have you talked to Brian about how much money they made on that tournament? Because from what I understand, it was one of, basically like 50% of the revenue for the year or something crazy like that.
So we have half of that. As you know, we have 6 fields and he only has 4. So
yeah.
Not that Brian and I sat down and talked about the exact thing, but I can tell you, I probably know the numbers. So, I mean, it's not rocket science. I've been doing it so long. 20 plus years, and I get it. So I know what it does. I know what it makes. So
yeah, sorry. I'm sure you did. I was just curious.
Yeah.
All right. John King's. How'd you get involved with John King's? Who is John King's? And
John King's is a social influencer. He has a a social media site. He calls himself an influencer. I don't even know. You know,
It's a
I'm
Gen
old.
Z thing. It's a
Yeah,
Gen Z thing.
I learned a lot of new things. So he contacted me. He knew my girls from the conference when they played. Him and I had crossed paths 4 or 5 times in the past. I think he contacted Katie maybe and said, can I talk to your mom about bringing a tournament there? I think he'd only had a couple of tournaments at that point. One of them in Florida and one of them in California, maybe. And I just thought, sure, why not? Why don't we try it? It's kind of cool. I believe this is the 3rd or 4th. It might be the 4th John King's here. But it grows every year. People like it. I think he's hilarious. And so I think it's a good fit.
Sure. So what's special about this tournament? Is there different rules?
There's no different rules. It's a sanctioned GSL tournament.
Yep.
I think what makes it great for everybody is that they get their minute in the spotlight. He goes around, like I said, he's funny. So he tells you the truth. And so people that may think they're, super fantastic, he gives them a little bit of, realism and says, yeah, you ain't that good. I've seen people that are, much better. Or he comes in and he's like, man, you have a lot of potential. And then he talks to you. And I think there's a lot of guys that got a lot of confidence from him. And so I think he's great. I think it's an outside eye and somebody who watches a ton of softball that can give you a perspective on some things.
Yeah, absolutely. So previously the home runs were different. Are they back to the normal?
They are.
Okay.
They are the normal home run rule for a GSL. So
I'm all
5.
for it. I'm all for it. As a C team that doesn't hit a bunch of home runs typically, I'm all for it.
Yep.
Okay. So no complaints there. Nobody was fussing about not getting extra home runs.
Nope.
Okay.
No.
Cool.
People don't fuss at me very much. They don't like when I come back. They fuss about me or behind my, but they don't usually fuss to me.
I think we might have that in common. All righty. Nothing more on the John Kings, if that's all you got.
Yeah.
I did it. There was a question about Metro Bats. Is there anything going on with Metro Bats?
So Metro Bats, I gotta look at this really quick. Are gonna be sponsored by Easton Mike and Worth. Easton Mike and Worth? Yeah, that's it. I have to think about that. Yeah. Katie will have the same, things that we had before, but someone contacted me. I'm sorry, I'm looking in my messages here just yesterday, and they want to add in, maybe it's Pure. I gotta look. Somebody is that they're trying to get. I have like 300 messages, so I can't remember who it was.
I'm sure.
They're trying to get whoever they are a rep for to put them in the bucket, and I believe we'll have at least one. Yeah, I can't find it. I want to say it's Pure. It might not be Pure. It might be something else. But if the manufacturer wants to provide me new and wrapper bats for every bucket with 3 or 4 extras in case they don't pass at the end of the night, because I don't know if people know this, but Brandy tests all the bats at the end of the night. It doesn't matter who the manufacturer is or what they are or who they came from or what happened. We test them at the end of the night, and if they fail, they come out of the bucket and something new goes in.
And then on that note, so how do you determine what goes in the bucket? I think you guys try to do one of each weight.
We try, yes. I mean, they send us a plethora of these bats, and we try to get a 26, 27, 28, and now these silly 25s or 25 and a halves, if we can get them, in the bucket. And of whatever we had a lot of Eastons one year. I think we had a ton of the Fireflexes. So we were able to put an even amount of everything in there. It just depends on what comes in. I mean, we used to pay for them, and then we knew exactly what we were getting. They're $7,000 to run this tournament. The bats are $7,000 if you want to put the right amount in every bucket. So thank goodness for Jason Kendrick and Brett Helmer and those guys who allow Katie to do this, and they provide the bats, and then we send the bats back.
Do you know the whole story of how we got to having bats in the bucket?
I do not. You want to tell me? I'd love to hear it.
Okay. Oh wow. Okay. So there, it's probably been 14 years ago at this point or something. But Cub Sports had back when it was ASA, they had a Easton Stealth that was clearly shaved, and they used it through the whole tournament. And most people will tell you that's the reason why they won that tournament. But that thing, it wouldn't hit the ground. A guy would hit a double before he got to first base. The guy behind him already had it ready to hit, so it never hit the ground. So after that, they started doing the bucket bats, or right around then. I think they tried to test them one year, and obviously that was a mess. And then they went to the bats in the bucket, and then Danny, whatever happened there with the bats, whatever happened, I don't want to speculate, but Danny was asked to leave, Rumpke, and then you came in after that. So I didn't know if you knew that story or not, but you guys don't have to buy them anymore. They're
I did
given to
not.
you?
Robert Mahaffey used to supply them at one point, and then he would sell them afterwards. So we got to use them. And then when he stopped doing that, we had to purchase them for a couple of years. Like I said, the bill was about $7,000. So that became something that just, they break by the end of the tournament. So that's really not feasible. That's why they're not for sale anymore, because we use them and then they get them back.
Oh, okay. And then they do whatever they want with them at that point.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Sponsored player bats.
Yep.
You guys still doing that, or how are you guys handling
So
that?
how this works, and we determined this last year, you cannot be a sponsored player unless you're at the highest level. And you cannot play in this tournament as a conference player unless you're playing in the open. That's a conference rule. So all these players that want to put these bets in whatever division, they can't, because there is no division but the open that has them. And there is sponsored players in the open. John Franklin, BB, Katie, Brian Wegman, Reckhart, those type of people. Now, see, people like Reckhart and Wegman and Katie, it's not going to affect, because they're getting a provided bat of their sponsor. So
yeah. Let's talk about that. So if there's an Easton in the bucket already, you're not going to put theirs in.
Only if they have their name on the bat. There's only three of them.
Brett Helmer, Easton.
Brett Helmer could put his own bat in there.
Right. Brian Wegman, Easton.
Brian Wegman could put his own bat, not another Easton, his own bat with his name in it. Okay. I think there's Brian Wegman. There's Brad Reckhart, because he's on the Fab 10 or whatever the heck that is, if I remember right. There's Katie on the Mike and Freak X. She doesn't play anymore. It doesn't matter. And there is and he's not anymore. It was Kessler. And he's not with anything anymore. So that's null and void.
Okay.
So
I know that was always
but people like I don't know, Bellamy, he's not playing anymore either, is he? Mullins definitely is, and he is not a Mike and Worth Easton. So Mullins manufacturer will give us one new in wrapper. It goes in the bucket when he's playing the open, and then everybody gets to swing it. It comes back in here, it gets tested with everybody else, and it goes to them at the end of the year. We shut that, please.
Alrighty. I'm going to ask you about East, but anything else before we move on to that?
No.
Okay. So again, probably a question I probably shouldn't ask you, but East, what's going on with the East? Everything still softball for now?
Yeah, I mean, I think for the last 7 years, I've heard East is sold. For 7 years, people have been calling me and saying, hey, East is sold. I know it's sold. I'm 100% sure it's sold. I even think our friend Chuck Kinney had posted it somewhere on Facebook, and Mark Air himself responded, well, who would know better than me? And he said, oh, I know it's sold. So, I mean, Mark assures me on a daily basis. I have big tournaments over there, Turner Construction, the UA, the pipe fitters, things like that. Those people have the NAGA tournament, the LGBTQ tournament is over there. So all those people are concerned because they set those a year in advance. So we're already having to guarantee that they are going to have those in the upcoming years. So in 2023, when I was told 1 million times that it's sold, I had to guarantee that we would be operating softball in 2024. I would hope I would be the first one to know if he's sold. And as far as I know, it's not sold
Okay. So we're definitely good for this year, and
for
then
this year. I mean, it could sell. You guys all know.
Yeah.
Anybody with common sense knows that River City West will probably be a softball complex for as long as you can be here. But people also know that what the east side looks like and what is over there and what's coming in there and what that piece of property looks like. And common sense tells you that was purchased as a investment property, not to stay a softball field for the next 20 years. But that's not for me to say. Maybe it does stay a softball field. Maybe I'm doing a good job. We don't know.
Yeah, I get it. It'd be unfortunate if we lost it because you basically cut off half the city if you lose that one.
Yeah, I hated when the other parks closed. I think it's terrible. I have great memories at Expressway, at Softball City, at things like that. And I just feel like every time one of them closes, a piece of softball dies. I know MVP is for sale. And
okay.
It is. I heard that Dave Earnhardt has fallen ill and had been in the hospital. And I did go up and do some research, and it is for sale, unfortunately.
Okay. Sounds good. I won't hold you any longer. Is there anything else going on in River City?
No, lots and lots and lots of Metro stuff. Now the deadline is coming up for the Industrial Church 50 for the 20th. And then not far after it, I think
They're all Monday the 15th.
All of them are Monday the 15th. And then when is the main Metro deadline?
Monday the 15th.
Oh, even the main Metro deadline is Monday the 15th. So we gotta get on that, get those all signed up.
All right. When I stop in tomorrow for the John King, shred my card for the Metro too.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, this is great. Appreciate it.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right. That was Nikki. It's just me today. So I'll still watch these highlights. It won't be as interesting with just me commenting on them, but we'll do our best. All right. So first one we got here, and they're in the format that I received them. This is Mark Walters falling down. It's more of a blooper than anything else, and you probably can't see it too well, but what we got. Here goes Mark, and there goes Mark. Mark down. His team sent that in. I didn't think he'd mind too much that I shared it. So this is a real highlight. This is Natty Red Legs, Dakota, playing shortstop. Keep an eye on him there. Dives, lays out, gets out, fires him out. Big league play there. If you know Dakota, stud with a glove. That's a big league play. I couldn't do that in my best day. Dive, lays out, gets up, fires it across. One hell of a play. And then lastly, we got Legacy. Gotta see that, okay. Bo Gray, glove flip for a double play. You don't see that too often. Nice play by Bo. So ideally, every week I would like to get 4 or 5 of these, or actually I'd like to get like 20 of them, and then I'll pick 4 or 5, and then we'll vote on them on the board, and then we'll decide which one's the best of the week. And then I'll try to think of a prize. I was thinking about handing out maybe some batting gloves or something, some custom Flies guys batting gloves I can mail to you or something. But if you have any ideas, let me know. So that's basically all I got for today. But I did want to throw this out there. Let me drop this. So I need a second host, and that's not replace anybody. That's an addition to. So ideally, I would like it to be me, Rhino, and another person. And Rhino and another person are kind of the main people, and then I run the controls and come in as need be. So I am desperately in need of another host. If you're interested, reach out. I'll probably pause these podcasts until we find one. It's just been too difficult because people drop last minute for good reasons, I'm sure. But then it just causes too much shuffle of me trying to find a replacement or do whatever. And then also I need to figure before the show every week I spend about an hour setting everything up so I have the videos ready, so I have the tournaments ready, so I have the questions ready. And then when somebody drops and I'm shuffling, I don't have time to do that. So if you're interested in being a host with Rhino and myself, please reach out. It doesn't matter if you're EDC or whatever. We'll talk, and I might say it's not the right fit, but I might say, hey, come on. And it's a thankless job. In fact, nobody will ever say thank you, but everybody does appreciate it. I think it's great for the teams to see themselves being talked about, see the plays being made that I showed you, showing the winners, doing all that. I do it for you guys. To be honest, I dread it every week because I hate being on camera. I hate talking in front of people, but I do it because I like softball and I like, I want to try to grow the game a little bit, and your participation helps a lot. So that's my little spiel on that. So please feel free to reach out if you're interested. So until next time, talk to you guys later.